Everybody's friendly. I could make this work.
It does seem. How would you compare this to Des Moines? Because I feel like Des Moines really clicked with you, Heat.
Des Moines,
like
Des Moines super clicked with me.
It was very up your alley.
Des Moines was a flat, cold place with what appears to be nothing but my cousins. That was
yes.
Des Moines is just my cousins, only
so
slightly
super hot.
Yeah, very. Man, I've never been more aroused. Yes, I was. I'm really looking forward to this. Yeah, no, but Milwaukee's been great. Everybody's super friendly here. It's my first time in Milwaukee. It's a really nice city. I like that. Like just bits of Scandinavia seem to be airdropped randomly throughout the city. Mm-hmm. That's cool. And then like your thing is cheese and beer. Great. Good for you. Good for you. I went to the National Bobblehead Museum earlier today. Yeah, be proud of that.
Who was your favorite? Who was your favorite bobblehead?
I liked. There were two things that I liked. It got so hyper granular. I have seen not one but 3 bobbleheads of William Rehnquist, which is 3 more bobbleheads of William Rehnquist that I ever thought I would see at this point in my life. And then there were like weird fucking crossover things that I don't understand.
Wait, hold on. Were they differently themed?
Yeah.
Was it like Malibu Rehnquist?
Yeah, they're like sometimes he's sitting, sometimes he's reading a book. But also there are these weird crossover things. Like it would be like Obama, but he's with the Marlins. And I'm like, why would that or there'd be like the Night King from Game of Thrones, but he'd be with the Wisconsin Mittens or whatever your team is here. And it was, and I'm like, why that the Mittens weren't in the Game of Thrones thing? I watched that. I watched Game of Thrones.
We're staying on Brewers Hill, by the way.
I know. Do you know what they used to do whenever the Milwaukee Brewers, the baseball team, hit a home run? Do you know that there was a famous celebration and then the woke mob took it away?
Well, I know based on the many bobbleheads I saw of a guy named Uger that was a thing. Would this Uger fellow do a thing?
Euchre.
I'm being corrected. Euchre?
Yeah.
It's a CK, thank you.
Just a bit outside.
Well, I assume they'd cheer? What would they do?
Their mascot would go into a gigantic mug of beer.
Nice.
So it was like a dunk tank.
Nice.
He would slide into it. And then eventually, apparently, that was sending the wrong message to children. When happy things happen, you should nearly drown yourself in beer. And so now he just kind of like stands next to a beer and points to it or something.
Back in I want to say the 70s, the New York Mets had bring your own baseball bat to the game day.
Hall of Fame, bad idea. Hall of Fame, bad idea.
Hall of Fame, bad idea.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, you knock it back into the field. Worst case scenario, gang fighting just occurring.
Jen, what are your favorite calamities at baseball stadiums?
Oh, of the stadiums?
Yeah. Or any other thing that we can segue into.
Well, I was raised in Southern California, so when Disney took over Angel Stadium, that was an experience because everything got a lot more expensive. They put a band in the outfield. They put a waterfall out there. It was like simultaneously pretty, but also like, this isn't sports.
They put a waterfall in the outfield?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it like an obstacle?
No, but if you hit the ball in the right direction, like you can get it in there.
I like the idea of there being obstacles.
No, there are actually. So the Houston Astros, if you are a baseball stadium, you can make the outfield kind of whatever you want, and no one's gone to really like crazy lengths, like a pool of sharks or anything. But in Houston, there is just a hill randomly. Huh. They did?
Yeah, they have a relatively new stadium, I think. And then in Fenway, we have the Green Monster.
Formerly called Enron Stadium in Houston.
In Houston? Mm-hmm. That checks out.
Yeah. Almost as bad as my beloved Miami Heat naming their stadium the FTX Arena.
Yeah.
Well, that's Tom Brady's new home. It kind of fits.
Yeah. There's nothing more Miami than naming your stadium after a crypto company that has a multi-billion-dollar scam scandal.
Yeah. I think the Lakers are playing in Crypto.com Stadium.
That is still operating, at least.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you own any crypto, Jen?
Yep.
Do you?
Yeah, the audience forced it on me. It was actually really smart what they did. So back in the beginning of Congressional Dish, they were just like, we want you to cover crypto. And I'm like, don't know what it is, don't care. So no. And so they started giving me Bitcoin, figuring that if I was invested in it, I'd give a damn.
You talk about it, yeah.
It worked. So now I've done episodes on it. I'm watching the hearings. It was brilliant. But yeah, I have it. I've never bought any, but yeah, I have some.
But you have some. Mm-hmm. And it's made money, I assume.
It has.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice little savings account. It's because like my whole game with this is like I still don't get it, so fine. So I'm not touching it. I'm just sitting there and like watching to see what happes because I know it could all be gone, but because I didn't actually buy it, like okay.
Meanwhile, any day now, my Beanie Babies collection. Or as I like to call it, my retirement fund. Pop.
From Milwaukee, Wisconsin! I'm Justin Robert Young.
I'm Jen Briney.
And I'm Andrew Heaton.
And we're not wrong. On this edition of the program, we will be recapping the Republican National Convention as well as talking about the ever-evolving and quite possibly, dear listener, and our live audience, could be concluded by the end of this very podcast. Search to oust the President of the United States from his re-election bid, as well as your emails and your questions here in the live audience. I think that we should tell these people, these good, honest, hardworking people, that we are all very tired.
We're so tired.
It's been a grueling
We're
4
tired,
days.
and some of us spend a significant amount of the day eating cheese curds and milkshakes. And so there's kind of a tiredness plus dairy phenomenon. I'm not going to say who.
You have a very interesting way of exiting places. I don't know. Do you know this about yourself, Heaton?
I never think of myself.
That you... It doesn't matter how cordial, it does not matter how warm, it doesn't matter how perfunctory. You exit buildings as if they're on fire.
It's happened so many times this week.
Like, as soon as you make the call, I don't know what goes on in your head, but you make the call that I need to leave. It is Olympic speed to go from where you are to the car.
It's not that I don't want to be where I am. It's that I'm so excited about where I'm going next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's very little. So I'm recording the episode of PX3 that's out today, and I just see like Heaton stirring, and I think he's going to go to the bathroom or something, but he just kind of sits up from the couch, which is like in my line of sight, and then just runs out the door. And then by the end of my recording session, I look at Twitter, and it's just Heaton like, I found class! Like,
I found the Mitchell
pointing-
Domes. They're really cool, right?
yeah.
Milwaukee has a moon base. I didn't know that, but there's a moon base in Milwaukee.
But there apparently you ate a bunch of cheese curds and
Yeah. Well, what
milkshakes.
I wanted to go down to the Mars Cheese Castle, which, as I understand it, is the capital of Wisconsin. And but it was a little too far away to get there, so I was like, all right, well, I want to go to the Dome thing and the National Bobblehead Museum, and then I want to like find like a cheesemonger. But the first cheesemonger was closed. The second cheesemonger was remodeling, so I gave up and ate some cheese curds at like Fat Jerry's or something. And
What else aside from cheese gets mongered?
fishes get mongered.
Fish.
Right? Fish get mongered.
Fish get mongered. You
I mean-
can monger anything though. Bitcoin monger,
Yeah, Tony Stark has to deal with the iron.
ironmonger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Charity monger. We've talked about them. Those are the folks with the clipboards that are like, can I talk to you for a minute?
Warmonger. Wars get
Oh.
mongered.
Yeah.
True.
And there we
Joke
go.
monger. Rhyme monger.
No, because there's some of them that it sounds like it's an insult.
Oh.
Like if
Yeah.
you call somebody a
I suppose
rhyme
warmonger. Where
warmonger, it's like,
warmonger. Wait,
fuck
do you
you.
mean warmonger in a positive sense or a negative sense?
I mean, unless you're Genghis Khan, I feel like it's a
Yeah,
negative
when's that
sense, right? In
positive?
polite society these days.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Speaking
Anyway,
of,
yes, we're very tired. That was the.
Yeah.
I was up till about like 3:30, 4. So usually I'm way more charming. You guys are getting like,
low energy.
yeah.
Although-
You're getting Minnesota heating. Sorry. All right, wait, real quick. Is Minnesota like your best friend or your enemy? How does this work? I'm getting thumbs down. Mostly thumbs down. Mostly thumbs down. Is this like where like in every other country in the world or every other state there's like the people that are almost exactly us, the people we hate the most? That's Illinois.
Illinois, they really hate. No, Minnesota's their ex-girlfriend, but they dated in like middle school, so it doesn't really count.
Okay, that makes sense. Yes, I understand that relationship intuitively. All right.
Yeah.
You would be the Vulcans?
The
Balkans.
Oh, the Balkans. I was like, oh
Balkans.
man, we're going to open up some fucking sci-fi right here.
Yeah.
Who's the goddamn Betazoids? Yeah, the Balkans. Okay, yeah.
Famously agreeable people. A place that has gone to war so much they invented the term "we're going to war" with balkanization. Speaking of the opposite of bad vibes, there was a good vibe festival in town. It was called the Republican National Convention. We all covered it. It was a lot of very, very, very happy people. And so I ask you, Mr. Andrew Heaton, with the neocons subjugated, the never-Trumpers in exile, what do we make of the MAGA-dominated Republican Party at play?
Preface, I liked all the MAGA party people that I met. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed hanging out at the Republican National Convention. I'm not only saying that because I know everyone in the audience is fucking armed. I actually did enjoy hanging out with the people. So noting that I'm not talking about the folks that I interacted with, I'm talking about the politics. I want you to picture two stools in your mind, as in something you'd sit on, and them rotating as I'm talking about this. The old stool of the Republican Party had three legs to it. It had social conservatism, free enterprise, or fiscal conservatism, whatever you want to call the economic thing, and war hawkery. And that was the old Reaganite model, was this like kind of domestic libertarianism, but also Pat Buchanan against gay marriage, but we're going to be involved in other places. And from my perspective, I agreed with the economic part of that. I didn't like the social conservatism part of it. If you're a social conservative, that's fine, not just because you're armed, but it's the inflicting on everybody else that I had a problem with. The foreign policy bit I didn't like either. And now what's happened is the party has rotated, and it's kept one of those things, and it's switched the other two. So it's switched on foreign policy, which I think is a positive development. I think that it's good that the Republican Party is now going to be kind of isolationist or realist or whatever you want to call it. I think it's good to have different viewpoints in foreign policy in the country. I don't like that the consensus since Eisenhower has been we should put our fingers in every pot. That's a positive development as far as I'm concerned. I think the social conservatism thing is largely still there. We're not going to quite know how much under J.D. Vance, but he seems to kind of lean that way. But it's moved on. It's not the same as it was in the 90s, but there's still a place there. And the economic bit, I think, is flipped, where in the 90s, the Republicans were very much the party of free trade. And they are not the party of free trade anymore. Those days are over. Trump last night was talking about 100% tariffs on imported goods, which is just taxes they're going to put on consumers. So I'm glad that they've pivoted on foreign policy. I feel about the same on the social conservatism, and I think the economics are bad.
The thing is that that's a lot of rhetoric. Like, they're saying these things, but as someone who reads the bills that they write, like, we're talking about the presidential level and J.D. Vance, but he's a brand new senator. Like, it hasn't actually changed what the party does. And so I kind of found that fascinating, where they're talking about being anti-war, but in Congress they're not. They're talking about being anti-free trade. In Congress they're not. So I just found a lot of confusion.
Part of that's leadership, right?
Yeah, it's leadership, but that's who's writing the bill. So it was fascinating to me to watch the rhetoric, like, oh, we're the party of the workers now. It's like, well, not in the legislation, you're the party of the bosses. So it was fascinating to me to watch the words that were being spoken and how they just weren't clicking what the party still stands for in the halls of power. Now, we'll see if that changes, because what was fascinating for me was how dominant MAGA was. Like, we have a living Republican ex-president, the Bush family. They were not there. Dick Cheney was not there. His daughter was not there. Mitt Romney, their candidate in 2012, not there. Paul Ryan, not there. Like, they weren't there. MAGA has taken over.
Mike Pence, not there.
Mike Pence. Yeah.
Mike Pence was posting vacation pictures from Montana.
But I count
He's
him
like, apropos of nothing, here's a bass.
But I kind of count him as the MAGA wing. Like, the point I'm trying to make here is I was expecting to see kind of a battle for the party's soul. The battle is over. Like, this was very much a MAGA carnival.
It was.
Like, it was, I gotta tell you guys, it was fun. These people were a lot of fun. They were dancing, they were drinking, they were very happy, fun, nice people to be around. Like, my theory on all of it is these people found a very fun community, and we got to be a part of that for 4 days. And I think it's one of those things, because if you're wearing something that says Trump on it, you're in the club. It's that easy.
Yeah.
So that was fascinating to me. And it was just the number of people wearing the Trump stuff. It was so overwhelming. That other Republican Party where, you know, my parents were Republicans, like that party they joined was not represented at the RNC. It was wild to witness it in person.
Can we talk about the fashion of night 4?
Yes, please.
So there's a few different kinds of things that you see at any kind of Trump rally, and specifically at the RNC. There's a lot of young people. Young people are very excited about Donald Trump in a way that they are not normally excited about Republican candidates, in my view. The men, oftentimes younger, will wear their version of Trump's suit. So it'll usually be blue with a red tie, a comically large red tie, white shirt. And the women wear, some of them, and some of them are very attractive, but they will wear dresses that I can only describe as I'm trying to lose my virginity during prom.
He's not lying.
And for whatever reason, night 4 was when they brought out their finest. Like everything else, they had costumes and stuff that happened throughout the week, but it was prom night last night.
Yeah, and what was fascinating is they had these dresses that you could wear to the Academy Awards, but then they had like a diamond Trump pin, or the lady with, what's that flag that we talked about with the Christmas tree thing looking...
Appeal to heaven.
You saw her with me, right?
Yes,
yeah, it was
yes,
this gorgeous white like wedding gown, but at the bottom was the Appeal to Heaven flag. So it's like they spent money on these things, and they were beautiful.
And think about the memery of that.
Yeah.
Right? Like how much money was spent just because the New York Times got fed Oppo about Sam Alito's boathouse.
Yeah.
Like because that goes viral, this lady's like, I'll show him.
My favorite thing of the fashion, though, was the fact that the Texas delegation all had matching cowboy hats.
Yes.
Like in this scenario, like Texas became the delegation that went home and did its homework better than you to show off in class the following day. Like Texas had to like be more of a state than every other state. I thought that was really funny.
Well, we have to give the shout out to Wisconsin because they
Yeah.
had the cheese
They had
head
the cheese
hats.
hats, which was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool.
But that was only on night 4.
Yeah. And the Texans like would coordinate their hats. They had like a wave that they were doing. It was great.
What
Yeah.
did we think about the cover band? Because that is not normal for conventions. They don't always have
Boomer
a cover band, playing everything you would hear at a dock party.
I liked the cover band. This Kid Rock fella. Didn't care for him.
by the way,
I don't
the
know
opening-
what state he's a senator from, but they should think long and hard.
The opening of Trump's speech, otherwise known as Bob.
What do they do if they don't have a band in between the speakers?
Just play songs. Like they'll just play things, and so just like a DJ. It's like it's
Mike
like,
Pence
like,
comes
like
up
a
with
wedding.
the harmonica.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went down to the floor for a whole half hour the entire time, but it was a good half hour. I chose to go out there. There were 3 cover band songs, and then I saw when Trump went up to where he was seated, and then I was right next to Hulk Hogan when he comes out with the giant flag. I was next to the stage. But because I was there for 3 songs, I went right to where the band was. I was down like in the pit, and there was a bunch of old ladies down there partying their butts off. And I decided to join them because I knew the song and they were having a blast. I think it was the most fun I had at the convention when I went full MAGA. It was great. They were having a blast down there. So yeah, that floor was a real party. I don't think the TV does it justice. Jesus Christ.
Not complaining.
Yeah, these like 90-year-olds are a bunch of whores. No, they were having so much fun. I just don't think you can really understand seeing through the screen what it was like to be on that floor. It was a real party.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
I thought it was a smart idea because
was a good band.
Those crowds are not usually that lively. Like they are more of a perfunctory kind of thing. There's some people that are really excited, other people are not as excited, but like the live band just gave a little bit of vibrancy that I don't think if they had just played the songs as a DJ that you would have gotten.
What also helped was Hulk Hogan. In terms of like adding a little bit of pizzazz, you know, like previously they'd have like Mike Huckabee get up and say some zingers from Uncle John's bathroom reader.
Yeah.
And this time they had Hulk Hogan come up and rip his shirt off, which should become standard for all speakers at MAGA events going forward.
Yeah. I was hoping that Franklin Graham, son of Billy, would have gotten so nervous and just like done it himself. It's like, that's what we do, right?
Yeah. It was fun for me because this was my first convention, so I can't compare it to anything. But when Hulk Hogan came out with the big flag, I was standing next to a guy who he must have been doing this forever, and I knew he was from New York. And he just looks at me and goes, "What the fuck is this?" And I kind of got that vibe from a lot of reporters.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they were just kind of dumbfounded by the whole thing.
Well, it was also a little bit of whiplash because night 3 was a very, very, very effective and competently programmed traditional convention lineup. So it's like, all right, we're attacking our opponent in foreign policy. He believes that foreign policy is his strength. So let's bring the most compelling guest that we possibly can to prove that that is the opposite. And they did it very well. They brought out the Gold Star families from Afghanistan. They brought out the family...
D-Day veteran.
Yeah, they brought out a 102-year-old World War II veteran who says, like, I'll re-enlist if you win. Like, and they brought out the parents of one of the hostages that's being held by Hamas currently. Like, that's great. That is as well as you can do that traditionally. And then... the next night, it's Dana White, Kid Rock, and Hulk Hogan ripping his shirt off. And you're like, this is MAGA. Like sometimes it's really smart. Sometimes it's Hulk Hogan. Let me tell you something, brothering.
That made me, it actually, because with the Republican Party changing and shifting so much, I took great comfort in Hulk Hogan endorsing Donald Trump because everything made sense to me again. Like that, like it was like, oh, okay, yes, I see, yes, okay, I follow, thank you. Please continue.
You know, it's funny because I was very much the opposite. Like Wednesday night, Thursday morning, I was starting to feel a lot better because from Wednesday's programming and just from talking to the people, like the delegates, I found the delegates, quite a few of them, to be intelligent, and even though I don't agree with some of their recipes for success, like we all agreed on what the problems were. We were living in the same reality, and that was nice to know. And the Wednesday night program was rational. And so I was feeling like, okay, if we have to do 4 more years of Trump, maybe they've graduated into some, maybe it'll be a little bit calmer this time. Like I was starting to feel better.
When it comes breaking down and it hurts inside.
Yeah, and then as Thursday kept going, I just kept trying to be like, okay, this is okay. Like Kid Rock, he's a performer. He wants to be here. Like, okay, Hulk Hogan is tearing his shirt off. This is weird, but this has nothing to do with policy. But where we were watching Trump's speech, this is where I went back to pessimism. We had the best view because from where we were sitting, we were watching Trump on the stage on the left, and they had a big screen, basically like TV, across from him, like over the heads of all those delegates. And so for him to read it, the words are really big, and I'm extremely farsighted.
That was the prompter. They had a gigantic prompter, yeah.
So I could read his speech as he was giving it. And the buzz in Media Row was he's written the entire speech after the assassination attempt. We're going to see a softer, uniting kind of Trump. In reading the speech, it kind of did that if he had stuck to the prompter.
But an hour of that was him just off the rails, and I was taking notes. I didn't think it would be 7 pages of notes. But it was.
Rookie mistake.
Yeah. So there was an extra hour in there, and I got to see the difference between what was planned, like what the political people and what they were thinking he was going to say, and what he actually thinks. And by the end of that speech, I'm like, nothing has changed. He's still winging this. And if I just feel like the second Trump administration would be exactly the first. So I had this very interesting reaction of, I liked the MAGA people. I don't think they're all that serious about policy because I think they found this community that they love. I think that's a big part of the love for Trump himself because he's kind of the thing that they rally around. Yeah. But Trump himself is still Trump.
It's interesting that you say that because in 2016 and 2020, he was chaos and his campaigns were chaos. Mm-hmm. People were getting fired. They couldn't stick to the same message. This time, he's still chaos, although I would say that the stuff that he did, approve as his speech was, as you pointed out, more calm and uniting. And his campaign is like ruthlessly efficient. And I wonder how much of that, if at all, will translate to an administration. Like, are you going to see more competency and less people getting fired every 5 seconds?
I think competency requires interest. So he's a brilliant marketer. Like, he's into winning. And so this is what he's interested in. So it doesn't surprise me that he would look for and find the best campaigners and be able to find them. But when it comes to governing, I don't really think that's his jam. So, who was it that you said he had talked to? Someone he ran again and was like, yeah, you're not going to be vice president, but you'll be a cabinet.
Doug Birdman.
Doug
Birdman. Yeah, Mr. Secretary. When he broke the bad news that he wasn't going to be VP, he called him Mr. Secretary.
Yeah, but which agency does the governor of North Dakota
Energy.
Based on his speech, which was all about energy, you would take a wild guess and say energy. That would be the leader in the clubhouse.
But I just don't. I hope that what you're saying is true. That the interest that has been put into this campaign would be equally, hopefully more, put into staffing the government. But I feel like the winning is the main goal here, because I felt like the first presidency was it was a winging it operation, and I don't know.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, and I don't know, especially watching that speech last night, I don't know that we're going to see anything different in a second Trump administration. I was kind of hoping, based on Wednesday and the vibes and the lovely people that I met who were the people in the Republican Party who are the most jazzed, to see them at least competent and rational and, not the MAGA, cartoon MAGA that you hear about on Twitter, to actually interact. And the trolls. To be honest, my interaction with MAGA, for the most part, except for the people in my life who I love, has been online, and they've been monsters to me. So to actually be amongst them in person and be like, nope, you're lovely.
No, you don't know how to use a computer. You're just a very nice person.
Yeah, they were great. I was feeling so much better, but the person they've rallied around still scares me, unfortunately. So I've gone full circle. I was depressed coming in, and I'm depressed coming out.
Heaton, what did you think of the speech?
Similar, but I feel slightly better. So the cognitive dissonance that I've had the last few days, and I think it's partly because we're in this environment where we are overwhelmed by 99%. The debate is Trump, great president, or Christ. That's that's the range of opinion, and in that milieu, you start am I crazy? It's like being in a cult where you're
I'm a moderate, personally.
They won't let me call my mom, that kind of thing. And I think I've mentioned this on prior programs, but the only time Trump ever really surprises me is when he's calm and gracious. Because I know you don't know what crazy shit he's going to say, but he's going to say something crazy. So if he's pumpkins are just they're just awful tomatoes, and or Canada, we could take it in a fight. He's going to do something like that. It's when he comes out and he's just really calm and nice, where he's Biden has COVID and I hope he gets better. That kind of thing is when my jaw drops. And so the last couple of days, there was a part of my brain when I'm talking to all these conservatives. Like we were talking to a guy from Massachusetts in the bar who wanted to have a long form 4-hour correspondence with me on very specific policy. You would have enjoyed talking to him. He was very focused. On policy.
He talked to Heaton so long that his wife interjected because she thought that he was bothering Heaton because he wanted to have, to which Heaton immediately boxed her out.
Yeah.
It's like,
Quiet, woman.
like
We're discussing land value tax. Be gone. But I did agree with a lot of what that guy had to say, like a significant amount. Like the flashpoints were not what I anticipated. And so there was a part of my brain that was like, did I get this wrong? Did I? Like, I've been a fairly vociferous Trump critic from the get-go, and like, maybe it could be the fact that everyone in my life would have cast me out, and that was playing with my, maybe that affected my thought process, and I wanted to take stock of that. And so the beginning of the Trump speech, maybe the first 3 hours of the 15-hour speech that
it was the Snyder cut of the
where he came out and he was that shockingly subdued character. There was this part of my brain that was like, maybe he's changed, maybe he's grown, maybe some of this was bluster, but we're seeing the real guy, and like maybe I got some of this stuff wrong. And then so there was that bit where he was like almost getting into Garrison Keillor mode, where he's just kind of like being folksy and nice, and then he went into like father of the bride thanking random people at the wedding, where Uncle Marty flew in from Alaska. We love Uncle Marty. The waiters have been great. Like, he started doing that, and I was like, all right. And then it's like this switch flipped at his head, and he's like becoming the P.T. Barnum of immigration terror. And I was like, that's the guy. Yeah. Yes, okay, I feel better. So my cognitive dissonance was lifted. I was like, this is a guy that hasn't accepted the election, never has, who's going to, on the one side, be asking for unity, and I appreciate that, but on the other side, kind of hinting at vengeance. And so I did get rid of my cognitive dissonance to some extent. But I will say where I'm happier, though, is in 2016, I was genuinely scared. I was genuinely scared in 2016. There's a photo of me somewhere where I am at Fox Business, and I'm watching the results come in, and my hands are just on my forehead, and I've been sitting there for like 45 minutes, and I'm hearing people chanting, "Lock her up" outside. And because I am actually bothered by lawfare, that was terrifying to me. But it sounded very much like the incoming president of the country was going to prosecute his primary opponent, right? That was very, very scary to me. And I still don't like Trump, but I have a much harder time fearing him after Hulk Hogan came out and ripped his shirt off. the emotional balance, if the policy assessment remains where it's been, the emotional balance for me is less terrified, more amused. And so that's been a positive thing for me.
Yeah, I thought the speech was very long.
Well, which hour? The first hour or the fifth hour?
I think, yeah.
Because once you power through the 8th hour.
As soon as you got to disc 4,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we could have cut something.
Like at one point, his family leaves, and I was like, they're going to try to beat everybody to the parking lot. It's like at a football game when it's not going well, and you're like, Marlins aren't going to take it.
Speaking of that, did we find out today where Barron was?
Oh. Did he walk on stage? We were trying to take photos when the family walked on stage. I didn't see. Did Barron walk on stage?
No. The Uber last night.
That 8-foot monster of a...
He's 7 feet tall, and that's not an exaggeration, so we would have seen him. And in the Uber on the way back, I went and looked at the pictures, and he wasn't there. And then as the family walked in to sit down, I was on the floor filming them. There was no Barron.
There hasn't been a Barron for 30 years.
Yeah, I was just curious, like, where'd he go? Where is Barron was trending last night on Twitter.
Was it?
So I don't know that we got an answer to that. I was hoping someone would scream it out, but apparently it's still a mystery.
There would be a 7-foot-tall blonde kid that would just stand at the back. I'm here! You're wrong about my father! That's my Barron impression.
Just wearing a mustache, like, I think we should leave him alone. I don't know. Yeah, he's probably being a moody teenager or something like that.
Well, I mean, Melania refused to speak last night.
And then the kiss after the speech was the most awkward kiss I've ever seen in my life. Like, so I don't think.
Well, they don't live together.
Yeah. So I don't know if Melania
it's
was just
too
like, I'm going to
hot.
protect my kid from this shit, because she obviously didn't want to be a part of it. So that's my
She put out a thing
theory
after
on
he
it.
got shot.
She what?
She put out a thing after Trump got shot.
Yeah,
and
it was a nice
she got
letter.
and she got a big entrance.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
I like Melania. I have nothing against her. She just thought she was going to be a gold digger. I feel bad for her. She didn't sign up for this. She looked beautiful.
Apparently, she's like into it.
Into what?
Politics.
She
has-
didn't
she has
speak at the
opinions.
RNC.
I mean, yeah, because Hulk Hogan was doing it.
When you say she's into it, like she's going home and reading Project 2025, like she's on page 73 and she's like, there's some interesting stuff.
According to reporting, I don't know shit, right? But like, according to reporting, she has very strident political opinions and does not want to step on her husband. But like, remember the I don't really care, do you, like, coat that she
Yeah.
wore? Like, that was very deliberate. Like, she very deliberately wanted to send certain messages at certain times, and she is dialed in on the conversation writ large.
Is it like when Britney Spears was wearing different outfits to get past censors? Like, is she trying to communicate with us? Is she okay?
Yes.
Does she need our help?
No, I don't think it's that. I mean, that is like, you know, the biggest thing about Trump in general is everybody feeling very confident that they can psychoanalyze Trump and everybody around him. Like, there is like a national obsession of us believing that we have the theory of mind of the Trump and the Trump family. Like, we feel like we know them on a level that we don't really know any politician. But yeah, Melania, I don't know. All I know is that it's been reported that she is very cognizant politically, and it's not like she just fell backwards into this.
She just wants us to be best.
We should be best. Do you think that the fact the speech was rambling or not a big unifying thing does that hurt his ability to be elected?
If at this point anything Trump said could in any way affect his trajectory,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it would have fucking happened.
Yeah.
Is anyone in America going, he seems kind of weird? I don't know if I feel comfortable voting for that carnival barker. I mean, usually I vote for game show hosts as the commander of the free world, but this time he seems kind of out there and rambly.
Yeah, the people that love him really love him. Like, we met this lovely lady from Florida. This woman.
A delegate.
Yeah, she was a delegate. She was so funny. And Justin asked her, like, so who are you excited to see? Trump. Oh, yeah, well, of course. But, you know, who else are you excited to see? Trump. Well, yeah, but if there's a second person you want to see, just Trump. I'm just here for Trump. And that was a lot of people. They were just here for Trump.
She finally relented. Whoever the vice president's going to be. And I was like, well, you know the rumors. And she's like, who? Like J.D. Vance. The rumor is J.D. Vance. This is before it was named.
Now confirmed.
And she's like, I don't like him.
I don't like pupa Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's really nothing
That lady
I
had
think
a
we can do.
rock on her hand. That was
Yeah.
a Palm Beach rock that you could see from space. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
This thing was no joke the size of a Jolly Rancher. It was wild.
I don't think that the speech is going to affect anything. I have seen a lot of chatter from Democrats on Twitter that he was so rambly that this should animate the Democratic Party to know that there's a shot, and that does not strike me as that was not my read on it.
Copium.
Oh,
Just total copium.
He spoke 25 minutes longer than he should have. We're back in the game. That's it.
Yeah.
That'll take care of that. We've got Weekend at Bernie's fighting off the entire Democratic Party 4 months before Trump storms into office, but he spoke a little long.
Yeah, that was on the outer edges of that discourse was the like, oh, this was Trump's debate performance, like oh, so terrible. Two equal things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it matters
so.
at all.
Yeah, me either.
At this point,
Nobody
I think,
cares about it, but like, you know, nerds like me. Like there's nobody gives a shit about these speeches. No one remembers these speeches. Like
No.
even like Barack Obama or Bill Clinton, people who are thought to have given good versions of these speeches. Nobody fucking remembers what they said in them ever. They don't remember the next day, let alone years afterwards.
I think the issue is going to be who's going to be excited for their candidate and get off their asses on November 5th and go to vote. And from what I saw this week, these MAGA people are as excited as it gets, and they're going to show up. On the other side, we're wondering whether or not Biden is going to live until November 5th. So that's not all that exciting. And I think that is the real question in this election, not what crazy stuff did Trump say. I don't even think it's about policy anymore because we know what Trump is offering. At this point, I think the real story is, do the Democrats get their shit together or not? Because what I saw at the RNC is this is a party that has their shit together. That's not in question. Every question I have is on the Democratic side.
Not only do they have their shit together, like normally something that I advise people on regularly when I'm talking to people that are more partisan or they're worried about the other team, I will remind them that kind of basic. Did we talk about this last week? I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. I ate a lot of cheese today. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. I had a milkshake. I'm going on very low sleep. I hung out with Barron last night. We played Nintendo. But basic in-group, out-group theory, which holds true, is that our team is always the ragtag, motley group of misfits barely holding it together because we're so individual. Our fraternity is very unique with all of its members, but the enemy fraternity, they are monolithic myrmidons and they are lockstep. And because they are so similar and they fall into line, they've got a competitive advantage over us and they're coming over the hill. Both parties think that of the other party, and this time the Democrats are correct. The Republicans have their shit together. They are, and they are, they're all MAGA now. They're all MAGA now. So yes, I think that those fears are warranted.
I will say that being at the convention made me realize that there is a huge trajectory and arc. If we are to go back to January 7th, right, of 2021, you had a man that had lost the presidency by his own doing, by mistakes that he made, humiliated himself. The entire party abandoned him to the point that he was listening to the dumbest people that were in his orbit, who are now all excised. But like,
I saw Rudy Giuliani a lot more than Donald Trump did.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was interesting. So the My Pillow dude and Rudy Giuliani were there the entire time. They were, so I was hanging out with the Young Turks, and their booth was 2 down from Rudy Giuliani's. I spent entirely too much time looking at Rudy Giuliani's face. But he was there, and Lindell was there. They were not invited to speak. They were not sitting with the family. They've been completely exiled. So that at least made me feel a little bit better.
well, I mean, but if you look at that low, right? Normally when an entire party abandons you and then a bunch of people put hundreds of millions of dollars into taking you out in the primary, it works. It didn't. Mm-hmm. It didn't work here. And the trajectory of seeing what we saw, which was a fully united Republican Party, where they didn't boo Nikki Haley. Apparently the Trump campaign went and whipped some of the places, some of the people that they thought were going to boo Nikki Haley. They went.
All right, Arizona, we all know what you're about. Calm down.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I've been to plenty of Trump rallies where Nikki Haley's name gets mentioned, and she is booed like the Bears in Wisconsin. Not so. She got a warm response. She got a big cheer. There was no hint of a crack in any of the facade of this. And I think that is one of the biggest political comebacks I have. If I witness a bigger political comeback in my life in just a 4-year period, it will be remarkable.
Although there was a giant crack, it wasn't as visible here, but the fact that the party elders said, fuck this, I'm not going, is a problem.
No, but they've been exiled. That's different.
Yeah, but I do wonder if that translates to voters.
They know they're not welcome. I mean, I think that the Never Trumpers are gone, and the MAGA wing is like, good, fuck you and your mom. We are now talking to black
I saw
voters.
that on several dresses, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barbara in the mud. But yeah, they're talking to black voters. They're talking to Hispanic voters. They're going to replace every vote for vote that they lost with new people that they believe they are building a more durable coalition, and one that the Democrats are not prepared to replace.
But I am curious if the people that have been a part of the Republican Party for a really long time, I don't know their numbers, but if they don't show up, that could be a problem too. And just in my own life, like I don't have a lot of MAGA in my life. I have more of like fiscally conservative type, like business Republicans. They are not happy with this and they are looking for alternatives. So like I have a Republican in my life who was just like, I can't do this MAGA shit. I don't know if I'm going to vote Libertarian or even Joe Biden, but like I can't with this. So I am curious to see if this elation actually turns out at the ballot box.
That is an interesting thing, because right now what you have is inevitability, and we're going to get to why in the next segment. But
how did inevitability work for Hillary?
Hillary did not have a convention like this.
True.
Hillary did not have a party that was fully united.
The amount of people getting Hillary tattoos during the convention in the bathroom was significantly. I got one. Yeah.
But just because MAGA's taken over the convention, have they taken over the whole country's Republican? That's
look,
what I don't know.
I spend a lot of time drinking with exiled Republicans. And I think that the ones that were going to leave left in 2016. The vibe that I get, this is just vibes, but the vibe that I get is that
Vibe corner.
I know there were three groups in terms of Trump in 2016. There was the Yay Trump, the Never Trumpers, and the Hold My Nose Republicans. And the Never Trumpers didn't vote for him. They voted for Ed McMuffin or whatever, or possibly Libertarian. And this time around, I'm finding that a lot of the Never Trumpers have been so bothered by the court cases going on that the ones that I've spoken to feel obligated to vote against the Democrats. And so I think that and then potentially too, like I think a lot of the stuff that we weren't sure about, like Trump in 2016 would simultaneously sound like the most isolationist president, but then he'd be like, or maybe we'll bomb Belgium, maybe, who knows? Yeah. And he's a known commodity now, and so I do not think that the Never Trumpers are going to vote less for him this time than they did in 2016.
I guess there's only one way to find out. It'll be a weird election.
Mm-hmm. And that one way to find out is to go to patreon.com/we're not wrong. That's the only place you can vote this year.
Yep.
They didn't tell you, but I am. Patreon.com/we're not wrong. Your legal vote happens only when you pay us money. But we give something, as well as your franchise. We give you a bonus episode of this show, and this week it is going to be on the reason why at least a handful of people are watching us right now, the CrowdStrike failed update that has crippled infrastructure throughout the world, and the fact that, of course, this, like everything else, has a checkered and weird political history that leans toward conspiracy. We will talk about that in our Patreon episode. But thank you guys so much, because this we don't do these trips unless we make money on this show. I think that's safe to say, right? The only reason why we will come out is because we get paid. We are transactional people. We care for you, not at all. Your wallets are our real friend.
We don't make money on these trips, but we wouldn't do them at all if we didn't have an
it's
audience.
less of a financial kick in the nuts.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is what
It makes it, your Patreon makes it a financial flick in the nuts.
better.
And you want to know what? We'll do it. We'll do it for you, the good people of Wisconsin. Patreon.com/we're not wrong. Oh, this Biden.
Can you check and see if is he still president?
Can
Is
we
he still
check?
running?
Somebody check to see whether or not these numbers are still right. 3 battleground senators have called for Biden to step down in the last 24 hours alone. That 4?
Who's
well,
number
no,
4?
there's 4 total.
Did Kid Rock weigh in?
Yeah. Seth Moulton was early, but over the last 24 hours, Sherrod Brown of Ohio, John Tester of Montana, and Martin Heinrich of New Mexico have all called for Joe Biden to no longer be the candidate for president. They have yet to call for him to step down as president. This, of course, follows the reality that he is losing this election by any available objective measure. The Real Clear Politics average for Pennsylvania is Trump up 4.5. Michigan, it is Trump up 1.7. And here In Wisconsin, the swingiest of swing states, it is Trump plus 3.2. That is outside of the margin of error for the majority of polls. Jen,
Yeah.
we're going to be in Chicago for the Democratic National Convention.
Yeah, we are.
That's
going to be a shit show. I can't wait.
Will Joe Biden be there too? And if so, will he be accepting the nomination? Lock in your bet.
Well, so I tried to bet you steak the other night that he would be dropping out.
Yeah,
this
you
weekend.
tried to delay the fact that you owe me a steak right now.
I know. I want to cancel it out with the steak you're going to owe me when Biden has to.
Yeah, but I'm
going
to eat the steak. I'll buy you a steak, but
Yeah,
you're going to
when-
have to lay out steak money, baby.
But I am willing to bet an expensive meal that, like, yes, he's going to drop out because, like,
He is going to drop out.
I still believe he has to. Because
I will
are you
reach
doing
out.
it now?
Oh, we're doing it now. Wait, no, but I still get my steak. I get my steak right now that I've earned. I'm betting you
Yeah,
another.
right now, Jen,
No,
leave.
we're
Get us our
absolutely-
steak.
Okay, we'll set the terms.
Bring out the steak and the credit card reader.
I have promised these boys Fogo de Chao. We are going.
We are
I'm
going.
not trying to cancel out the
Good.
steak. I'm saying we double steak.
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah.
We have a bet.
Because he thinks there's no
Ride
way.
with Biden, baby. Never give up, Joe. Never give up. Don't let the elites win.
Yeah. He has
14
to,
million
right?
votes. Can't lie.
He has to.
You know that tough primary?
Yeah.
That, yeah, against rock
Dean-
solid Dean Phillips.
Dean Phillips? Oh, man, what a tough campaigner.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
a tough campaigner.
14 million people. There's only 18 million people in America.
Yeah.
That's a significant amount of Americans.
There were tens of people who knew who Dean Phillips was.
Joe Biden right now is polling at 80% within the Biden household. And if that's not a good indicator, I don't know what is.
Yeah, you have to respect that.
And that's only
primary.
because Hunter's side piece is passed out. Anyway, Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. At this point, I don't understand how you think he could possibly stay in it with this much pressure and just the fact that he's
He's
gonna
the most
lose.
stubborn man alive, and he has to agree.
I know he's. I know you're right. But
I hope the older I get, the less susceptible to social pressure I am. Now imagine being the president at 90 fuck all. That being said, though, I'm gonna go beyond. I agree with you, Jen. I think he's not going to be the nominee, and I'm going to go beyond and tell you who I think it's going to be. Do you want to hear this? Because we're getting into.
Okay, so you believe Kamala passed over. It goes to a contested convention.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I mean, like, we're going to get into some rank goddamn speculation. Are you ready for this? This is like tinfoil hat territory. Okay. This is Dean Phillips, the Palpatine of this entire saga. Bear with me here. As we've previously discussed on this program, it's bad either way right now. With Weekend at Bernie's versus P.T. Barnum. If Biden were to drop out, there's lots of problems here. We're 4 months away from the election, as Justin pointed out. It's like being on the last lap of the Grand Prix, which I think is a NASCAR thing.
Continue.
And you have to swap out your racemobile with, you know what I'm saying, right? So you wouldn't want to do that. And the reasons are myriad, right? Because at this point, you have somebody step in there, Kamala Harris. There's two problems. She's not very popular. She polls less than Joe Biden after everything. Not a good sign. Mm-hmm. And beyond that, as pointed out, very difficult to pass over her for the Democratic coalition. You're going to pass over the sitting vice president, who would be the first woman and is a woman of color. These are big obstacles to get over. And then
very burdened by what has been.
Yes. You then add in several other factors here of you need to be running a national campaign within 4 months of the election happening. You would need, for this to work, you would need somebody with national name recognition, with deep-pocketed donors that you can call right now, with a political machine that you can call right now. You can hit a button and activate your entire political machine. To have such a candidate at this point in the electoral cycle would require finding somebody who'd been thinking about running for president every day since she got her husband elected governor of Arkansas.
Oh, stop.
Let the record show the audience wildly agrees with Heaton. Hear me out on this. How old's Hillary Clinton? Same age as Donald Trump. Do you think Hillary Clinton's thinking about this right now? I promise you Hillary Clinton's thinking about this right now.
Hillary Clinton
Do you
hasn't
think she's in a
slept in
bubble
3
bath
weeks.
saying she's glad that this isn't happening? Jimmy Carter's thinking about this right now. Hillary Clinton's absolutely thinking about this right now. I think it would make a lot of sense. I think that she could immediately start a national campaign. Immediately. Hillary Clinton, not going to make the same mistakes twice. So this happens, so this is how this goes down. First, now hold on. There's a guy in the front row. There's one person in the room who disagrees with me. He's on the front row. Is this because you hate this that this would happen, or you just think it's hard? It's just unlikely.
Okay, we can't do stuff with. We're gonna do a Q&A. Yell at him. Yell at him then. Just let the
Hulk
record.
Hogan just endorsed Donald Trump. You're living in the same timeline as me.
This
This is gonna happen.
Let the record show that the vociferous hate Heaton has garnered for this take is of a sloped roof variety. Jen, are you still with her?
Oh, fuck off. That is mean.
That would be, by the way, the most pro wrestling horse shit turn that this could take,
Yeah.
which means I love it the most. That it's just like all of a sudden it's like, well, King, we're gonna find out who is going to challenge Donald Trump at the Royal Rumble, and then it's gonna be a rematch, but not the one you thought. My God, that's Hillary Clinton's music.
Yeah.
She's not here. She is. She is.
But the Democrats seem to do the worst thing possible every time.
This is not militating against.
So I can't.
That's their motto. They write it in Latin. The Democrats.
We run
do
a
the
tight
worst
shipwreck.
thing every
We
time.
run a tight shipwreck. The Democratic Party.
It could be. It's not impossible, Andrew. I just think that America hates it. Your idea, but what
That didn't stop her the first time.
Yeah.
Dude. What I'm rooting for as a selfish journalist who's going to be there, I am rooting for a contested convention because we've never seen it in our lifetime. It would be amazing to see. It would be a horrible decision by the Democrats, which means they'll probably fucking do it. And if you're going to give us 4 more years to Trump, let's burn the Democrats down. It would just be so much fun. You're all tuning into that convention. No one watched every second of this one, but that one must see TV.
And if there is a Knives Out brokered convention and nobody gets it in the first round, the superdelegates come in, which is to say, the Democratic Party apparatus.
Mm-hmm.
Burn it down.
Who has a lot of sway with the Democratic Party apparatus? Hillary Clinton.
This is my fight song.
I can't tell if they're sneering or horrified or what. By the way, this isn't the world I wanted to live in.
Yeah, but this is the system.
I wanted Jared Polis versus Doug Burgum. That was
No. Look, they attacked Jesus because he told the truth. You are just
I get that a lot.
You're just coming down the mountaintop and telling them what is to come.
Sorry to break it to you. You're living in the simulation universe, not the
Jen,
real one.
you are such a spoiled journalist. If you get Reagan 84 and Democratic 1968 as your first 2 conventions that you're covering,
Let's go. I'm so excited.
it would be truly, truly amazing.
Yeah, it's this one's gonna be fun. And the Democrats have done this to themselves. They're the ones that decided to do the fake primary. As Andrew has so wisely alluded to, if this does go to a contested convention, you're gonna see how they've really rigged that process too with the super delegates and all that dirty shit. This is gonna be really good for America to see that these parties are private clubs. This is not democracy that we're seeing in action with the primaries. It looks official, but it's not. And I think it would just be so educational. If we're gonna have to do this Trump thing, let's get this education. So that's what I'm rooting for. I think there would be some benefits to it. Chaos. Let's go.
You are rooting for true anarchy. Because
We're already there, so
that's
let's
what's
go all
gonna happen.
in.
And I'll say this because I think he has said all of this publicly, but we ran into Cenk Younger from the Young Turks, and he was very excited about the idea of a Democratic contested convention. He said then, and then later has said on Twitter, that he wants to do a draft Jamie Raskin movement, but he said that to us the night before. I pointed out, these are hell. They're not fun for a party. They rip a party apart. There's a reason why all polite society over the last 50 years has moved to a system where you can put this ugliness farther away from election day.
Like
because
getting on a Zoom call over the next 2 weeks.
Well, this
kind of their
gets into the problem that they've had, is that, like, look, they didn't want to realize that Joe Biden's record wasn't great. They kept gaslighting themselves into saying, no, the record's amazing. We have an amazing record. Everyone understands that the economy is amazing. Everyone understands that foreign policy is awesome. Like, this is great. America has never been better. Joe Biden is the best president since FDR. Like he is awesome. And what we really just need to do is get our messaging right. That's our big thing. We're too humble to brag.
We have to
And so we
educate
need-
dumb America.
Exactly. These dum-dums are being stupid, and so we just need to let these morons know that everything is great. And so they had a sham primary. They...
14 million people.
Everybody else stood down. They discouraged anybody else from running, and now they're paying for it. Like normally an incumbent doesn't have to face a primary, but normally an incumbent isn't that weak. And Joe Biden has been weak for a very long time. His approval rating has been underground ever since Afghanistan. He was supposed to be the calm, steady hand on the wheel. He has been everything opposite, to the point where the January 6th man is now the safe option in the eyes of the majority of voters. Look, the numbers don't lie, and that's the reality of where we are right now, is that between the two, people are less worried about Donald Trump because it doesn't seem like he's having cognitive failure. And
He always had it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But it's a consistent concern as opposed to a recent drop.
And jokes aside, that's the reason why that debate was so brutal, was because, number one, they asked for it. So it shows you that their campaign is dumb as shit. And that he is so diminished as a candidate that he beat Medicare. Like, that's just the reality of where they're at right now. And they're fucking paying for it. And the problem is that the reason why I'm willing to bet is because they haven't stood up to him yet. And now they're acting like they're going to. But the reality of this situation is they're in a game of chicken. They're driving, the establishment and Joe Biden are driving toward each other, and they're both saying, do what I want or I will wreck this fucking election. I will wreck this fucking election for us. The difference is that Joe Biden has a stronger card than they do, and he knows it. Because he has to give up. And so he's like, you want to know what? If I lose, it'll be because you ruined it for me. And you're already seeing that messaging from them. Is that like, yeah, my poll numbers are down. I wonder why. Is it because my own party is trying to fucking sabotage me? And I have sitting senators saying that I should drop out? Yeah, I guess that will affect a presidential election. He will
I am
hide
the
himself.
goodest president.
And I do think he will answer all the questions. Especially if the questions are, will you stay president? His answer is yes.
Well, we'll see. I'm looking forward to you buying me dinner.
If we do go to a contested convention, the rumor from Mark Halperin, disgraced political gossip monger, we found another one, is that they would try to limit it to 4 candidates. If you, Jen Briney, were the sole determinant of who those 4 candidates were, who would you pick?
Kamala. Obviously Kamala.
No,
Because-
okay, you need 3 more.
Oh, for Christ's sake. Based on governing or who can win, like, I don't know.
That's it.
I don't think like a Democrat.
You choose. Or you choose to and Heaton chooses to.
I just think there's such a obvious candidate that I can't even go there with another three. I mean, she's vice president.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, maybe it's my lady parts talking here, but there were a lot of women that were pissed in 2016 that they didn't see the first woman president.
So
And
you don't believe in Big Gretch?
Oh, maybe a female
No,
candidate would
the
be a good
only-
idea.
the only reason we know who Gretchen Whitmer is on a national level is that people tried to kill her. Other than that,
The
like,
FBI?
yeah, kind of, yeah. That's the story, right? So, like, I don't get why she's even in the conversation because it's the only thing I know about the woman. Kamala Harris is a senator. I don't understand the hate from her because as someone who watched a lot of hearings, she was very good in them. But, like, Democrats love identity politics.
They do.
First black woman president. There's your vote.
They love demographic first.
Yeah, but she was also on, like, fake primary and all. It is Biden-Harris. She was on the thing that people were voting for. I just think it's so fucking obvious that I don't understand why they're even having a conversation about someone else. She's fine.
You think anybody who doesn't think it's Kamala has fallen out of a coconut tree?
Yes. I just think she's so obviously the
All right,
best
so let's
candidate.
imagine that Kamala says, I won't do it. I love Joe too much. I would not humiliate him
Now
like
we're
this.
really traveling to fantasy land.
Is there,
but
is
okay.
there, no, I know. I just need one more name for you. I just need one more name, and then Heaton will give one more name after Hillary.
You know, ever since Jenk said it, I do love Jamie Raskin.
He has cancer, you know.
Okay.
But
We're going to hand wave cancer after the man whose brain died is the reason why we're in this? I feel like ignoring obvious medical diagnoses should be a key lesson.
You just put me on the spot to name something when I told you I've put no thought into this because I think it's so obvious who they should pick. So, like, no, I don't have a second. Next.
All right. Heaton, you named Hillary.
yeah, well, but she'll come in the second round though.
So you'll give me two then.
So in the first round, it's going to be limited to 4, assuming Mark Halperin's correct.
Assuming, yes, the great oracle, Me Too'd Mark Halperin.
And am I saying what I want or what I think would be a good electoral strategy?
We're saying what gets us to the end of this segment.
Okay. In that case, I think the names that we keep hearing are Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, Whitaker, and
Whitmer.
Whitmer. Thank you, Whitmer.
See, no one knows who she is.
And I like Bernie.
Draft Bernie.
I mean,
I wish they would.
Bernie. If Bernie had ran in 2016, that would have been a roll the dice election. Like it would have. I think it would have been like snake eyes or double sixes if you'd run with Bernie. I think it would have been really, really good or really, really bad.
But
would
they
have been
rigged
really,
it
really bad
against
for me
him
either way
twice.
because that would have been the Sophie's Choice election for Andrew Heaton. But I think as a candidate though, like he's got like bona fide populist energy and a group of people that really, really care about him and are really animated by him. He's good at animating the base. So those are some names I would put out.
I mean,
So you would say Newsom and Bernie.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is electoral. If we're going with like who Heaton wants, it'd be like Jared Polis and Klobuchar, but that's not going to happen.
It's weird that Polis isn't in the conversation because he is. There's a lot to like there. I mean,
He's a first. He's a first.
I would have been very
Yeah.
excited about
Yeah.
Bernie, and I love that you actually brought him up because he should be in the conversation. But this is a party
We're
that
not
made,
worried about the age thing. Also ancient.
But he's also
Yeah,
still
but he's
perfectly
feisty
fine.
agent.
Yeah,
He's like Larry David ancient.
So we've learned nothing. We've learned absolutely nothing.
I don't.
Like Bob Newhart's dead. It doesn't mean that you should like nominate him.
I don't know who the
Newhart would win.
I right now would vote for Newhart for sure. That would, if ever there were a candidate that spoke to me, it's a subtle, underspoken, short accountant that did comedy. Yes, 100% Bob Newhart.
I understand that Bernie's older, but the problem with Biden, I mean, you saw the excitement for Trump, he's just as old. So I don't think it's necessarily the age, it's the fact that Biden is having trouble functioning cognitively and we can see it. Bernie is not having that. We also had 2 elections where there were so many of us that were genuinely excited about Bernie and we saw what the Democratic Party did to him. And that's why I won't even name him because it's just like if they're going to prevent him twice, why would they plug him in now? It would be smart, but again, we're talking about the Democratic Party here.
Oh, it would rip.
Hello, Bernie Sanders. It's the Democratic National Convention. Hi, how are you? Hey, what are you doing? We were just thinking about you. You want to swing by in the convention?
Yeah, I would love it, but I can't get my hopes up a third time. So I think Kamala is just
It would
practical.
rip the Democratic coalition in fucking half. Although they might do it just so they can deny him the nomination again, and then blame it on him that they lost. Like, that would be the most Democratic thing ever, is to like throw him in at the last minute and be like, oops, he lost by 1 vote that came in at the last second. And then be like, man, Debbie Wasserman Schultz would have won. Thank you. This guy fucking knows me.
To the people listening at home, a beer was just delivered
Yeah,
to
it's just a
Jessa.
man just put a beer in front of me. It would be interesting if I were to say that the
Oh, now a koozie?
Guys, keep it going. Like fuzzy dice, a comb, a cheese hat.
I feel like I'm gonna get a voting share of the Packers next. If you were representing the elements of the Democratic coalition, then, and if you were really trying to do it, I would say you got to put Kamala in. You have to I would put Bernie in, or if he didn't want to do it, then you put somebody that represents that wing of the party, AOC or somebody like that. I would put somebody very establishment, whoever the most like. I would say either. I mean, if you want the actual, oh my God, I've just had this vision and I'm afraid it might be real. It would be.
You look like you're in pain.
In whatever order, Hillary and Pete. The Hillary Pete tag team.
Yeah.
They come in, and so it's Pete, either Pete saying like look who I brought, like she's so smart. We've been talking a lot, but that would be the most establishment. Like Jeffrey Katzenberg would just be like printing checks to like throw. They would just have the most cloying ads immediately. Just like all that soft focus.
Hillary and Pete doing like duets together.
Oh. They would yeah.
Ivory and Ebony and like, yeah.
Who do you think it's going to be, Justin?
Well, I know it's going to be Biden. Spoiler alert.
That was a really stupid question on my part. This is why I don't ask the questions.
But if it's not Biden, I think we got some gossip, some RNC media gossip, is that some people are saying that Biden steps down, everybody puts a lot of money and effort to Kamala. If she pulls it off, amazing. But we know she's not. And because we don't think she's a good candidate, then we just run her into the rocks and say, hey, good job, Kamala. Anyway, good luck never being in politics again. And exit stage left. That's that. That she's going to be, they're going to use this cycle to get rid of her because they actually don't like her. And Biden just needed somebody that was black and female. And they brought in a lot of money because of Kamala. And so that's the only reason why she's even there. They don't like her. They don't trust her. If they did like her and they did trust her, this would not be a conversation. They would be talking about why Kamala was the greatest person on earth. There would be no issue about a contested convention. But it's only because of a lack of faith. And by the way, you want to know who said that? AOC, last night on Instagram. She said, whenever you go into a room, nobody believes in Kamala. And so that's AOC on the record, out of her own mouth. And she's riding with Biden. So that I do think, from what I've heard, that is the general consensus of it. But I also think that if Biden's out, that's the reason why she's it. Because they kind of know, based on these numbers, you've got a party that's going to that will already have ripped itself to shreds, that will have beclowned themselves by saying, like, no, our super popular president, whose economy is going amazing, and he's the best dude since FDR. Get the fuck off the stage, old man. Anyway, this lady's even better. They know they're going to fall on their face for that. That's like gaslighting on a surgical level that the American people won't tolerate, and that's that.
Chaos.
There we go.
Let's go.
We're not wrong pod at gmail.com. We're not wrong pod at gmail.com. That's where you go if you want to write the show. The ear bleeds more than the rest of the body. We're not wrong pod at gmail.
That real quick, that was my favorite line of that speech was, so we learned something. As if that evening, Donald Trump, in this imaginary universe who sleeps next to Melania, laid his head down and went, well, that was a crazy day. You know, I learned something. There's a lot of blood in the ear. Good night.
Fuck Hanlon and his razor writes, how much incompetence is too much? At what point is it fair to hold people accountable? I'm sick of the amount of incompetence that's allowed in this system, and it's just waved off by people like Andrew. Because what? Accidents happen? How many systemic failures did we see from the Secret Service on Saturday? At what point does the incompetence become malicious?
Dear listener, I wish I had your faith in the competency of the U.S. government. I do not. Turns out one of the main reasons I am usually inveighing against growing the government is because I do not trust the competency of said government. So, no, if you're going to, there might well be good evidence for this. This has not had something that I've put a lot of time into. But no, overall, in general, I think, like, if you're not sure, default on incompetency. And congratulations on thinking that the competent Death Star of the Democratic Party we were just talking about is going to execute some kind of like conspiracy theory to kill a guy.
I don't think that that's his point. I think his point is there some kind of basement line for which incompetence does become malicious because there is something expected from you?
Is the idea behind this like, did the Biden administration send their worst?
No.
So,
I mean... Yes, I guess.
I think that's the question.
No, you're right. Yes.
I mean, am I right in thinking, and I could be wrong at this, but it's my understanding that a lot of the people in the Trump detail went with Trump. That when he left the White House, they went with him down to Florida, and they've been with him. Is this not true?
I think we are looking at an evolving situation as to who was exactly there that day.
The head of the Secret Service is testifying on Monday to the House Oversight Committee, and those are some partisan attack dogs. Like, I do think we're going to get some answers in very soon. So let's hold off a little bit.
We will hold off.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
I will do a congressional dish with the best part of it. But yeah, that's on Monday. We're going to start to get answers. This is still...
And by the way, that's no bullshit. She's going to have an episode out that night, right?
Maybe Tuesday, but like, yes. As soon as I can.
That night, I've heard.
Yeah.
That night. Bad Comms writes, I would like to understand if there was something wrong with the Secret Service's communication systems. The counter snipers observed Crooks for several minutes and watched him move into position and waited to take a shot. I would assume that snipers on the barn would let their supervisor know that there was an armed man on the roof. What do you think happened after that?
I don't know.
We'll find out Monday.
Exactly.
We'll find out Monday. A Beautiful Dream writes, there's an alternate universe where future President Birdman welcomes Coach Hardball and his team to the White House. I love that we have now just evolved our own secret code. Like, true. You know you are among We're Not Wrong faithful if you can say, what do you think Coach Hardman is going to do when he goes to President Birdman's White House? New Heatonism writes, put pockets in poor people.
Vote Heaton. I will put pockets in poor people.
Jen is correct writes, Jen is correct.
Yay! Thank you for writing.
I had no idea what it was about. It was a Patreon comment. It was just, Jen is correct.
All right.
In response to Jen saying it's cynical, I put that there because you're going to get the shit kicked out of you. In response to Jen saying it's cynical to say Trump is an existential threat to democracy, is it cynical to say that MAGA Republicans, which Trump is the head of, are a threat to democracy? If that's still being cynical, what would a person/party have to do to be considered a real threat?
I mean, these people are not rooting for the Constitution to go away. I hate defending them, but the January...
MAGA queen. Also, before you get into this, can you please describe how tall Lauren Boebert is?
Oh my God, you guys. She comes up, like I walked by her multiple times to measure. In the highest of heels, she comes up basically to my nipples. Like she is the tiniest little human. When I spotted her, it was because I was in Media Row and I was like, oh, someone brought a kid. And I noticed just like long, beautiful hair. And I was like, oh, the kid's wearing high heels. And then it turned around and had Lauren Boebert's face. I was like, wow, she's tiny. But yeah, I went up and I purposely was like, I'm going to measure you against me. She's so tiny. I'm going to say I'm 5'11", so under.
Under 5?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to, yeah.
Although when that mate grabs your hose at Beetlejuice, it's going to look huge.
You're a class act, Justin.
Anyway,
what was the question? I completely blanked out.
What does somebody have to do to become a real threat? What does a fandom or a support of a politician have to do to be considered a real threat?
Listen, these people have been branded as if they are boot stomping around, rooting for Trump to be in office forever. And the conversation that I was hearing was, well, he has 4 more years. J.D. Vance, like, we're hoping that he'll be the next party, so then he'll get the 8. Like, they're speaking in this conference, and not just on the stage, not just where, like, the microphones are on, everywhere. They're talking about Trump's last 4 years. And the idea that JD is young enough to be the future of the party. If they were trying to have a dictator, that would not be what I was hearing. And this is the part that like, I hate having to say this, but people keep making me do it. Even the plot, and I take it more seriously than even people on this stage, but the plot to keep Trump in office was a runaround of the Constitution. They were looking for constitutional loopholes. They weren't bringing in the military to shut down the certification and keep Trump in power. As Justin has said many times, he did leave. He did it with the least amount of class possible, but he left. And I just don't think that it's helpful when there are policies that I think are dangerous to us. Like the part of that speech, and there were multiple parts, that like scared me last night was when he was saying, the whole world is afraid of me. And I'm like, yeah, so am I. I'm part of the world. His foreign policy is, I'm such a crazy person that the world won't dare do anything. I don't love that. So, like, that's the
kind of a track record for it, though.
Kind of true. But we can talk about these policies without going so far overboard that the people that would be receptive to that conversation just go, you're exaggerating. He's not that bad. Like, we should have real conversations that are based in reality, and I just don't think this dictator line is helpful when we're talking about Trump, because I don't see the evidence of it. And especially not the MAGA people. Like I said, I met a lot of these delegates. They were great people. So I do not think that they are on a mission to ruin this country. These were people walking around with pocket constitutions. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
They're nerds.
They're nerds.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the people that are not political and are in MAGA are such nerds that they just want friends who party and will welcome them, and all you have to do is wear a Trump hat. So a lot of these people I just didn't find particularly bright, but I liked them. They had a great community.
There's the bicoastal elitist. There she is.
But they were great. They were great people. These are not threats to our democracy.
There's an element of outcast with them.
Yeah.
Like that is the thing of like you have friends here. Mm-hmm. In fact, that was like the baseline of the Amber Rose speech that she did on night 1, which was amazing. We sat with another Florida delegate a couple days later who described herself as a pro-life voter, a social conservative who almost didn't come to the convention because she was so offended that they were watering down the pro-life message of the platform. And I was like, so what do you think about Amber Rose? Which, for those of you who are unaware, Amber Rose is a OnlyFans model with face tattoos, who is now pro-Trump. And she spoke on night 1, and the woman gave a quick pause and then said, well, I wouldn't consider myself a fan of hers, but I think it's very important that she speak to people that would listen to her.
Yeah.
And it's
she
like-
said she was happy she was here.
Yeah. And that's where, number one, it shows you that party is clicked up. Like, they are very united, because that does not normally happen. Like, there are wars fought for much less than that. We came from the Libertarian Party.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there
Different vibes.
There were actual bullet holes that would be caused on things that are far less than that woman's beliefs and Amber Rose.
It was very welcoming, even to us fake news. They were
Yeah.
so nice.
Now let's get into Andrew Heaton's sports question of the week. We're finally here on stage, Heaton, in the friendly confines of Wisconsin. And so it's time that we get your opinion, if not your true belief.
Okay.
Do you believe in love?
Is that the whole question? Tennis is a fascinating game. And if you are 2 points ahead, that's love. Pretty sure I nailed that.
Do you think, I mean, it was a promising start, right?
Yeah. No.
You think, the next year he can take the leap?
Yeah, I think, like, whenever I look at love, I'm reminded of that iconic scene from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where he has to make the leap, and he scatters the sand.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, love, scatter that sand for your followers. Take the leap. I think you can do it, Mr. Love. Hell of a player, hell of a good American. And like when I look at love, I think sportsmanship.
Oh.
That's what I think. I think sportsmanship.
Controversial when love first came out of the scene, right?
Yeah.
Some people were not a fan.
Yeah.
Some New Yorkers were not a fan.
Yeah. Well, the Jets and the yeah, that's the ticket. It's like that John Edwards guy that used to pretend to see dead people to like get money for widows.
Edward. Singular.
Edward, yeah, thank you, John.
The other one was the last.
I'm hearing somebody whose mom starts with a C. Yes. Was it Karen? Yes. Yes, the New York Jets, I don't blame them for being cautious in their picks, but I think that they can trust their gut on this one. Love's going to go, he's going to take us to the finish line.
Well, no, they didn't want love. The Jets took the person who fell out of love with the state of Wisconsin.
I can see why you'd think that.
Okay.
I can see why you'd think that. There's what they did and what they wanted.
Yeah.
I'm talking about what they wanted. Yeah.
There we go. Do you want to take a wild guess about what you've been talking about?
I think that there's a footballer named Love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who got turned down by the Jets?
No.
Nope.
He would be the quarterback of what team that this crowd would be getting all these references about?
It's either the Bears or the Mittens.
Oh.
What is that? The glove? It's a glove? What is it?
The Brewers.
You just lost
the
a lot of
Brewers,
love
the
by
Brewers,
saying
are,
Bears.
the Brewers
Why
are
do they have a
baseball
glove?
team.
Have a beer.
They can't do it. The woke mind virus made them not have a beer. No, the football team.
Uh-huh. Which
Oh
no, because it's the Chicago Bears.
No.
No, I'm saying it's not you, because Chicago's in a different state.
Chicago's, yes.
I'm thinking out loud here.
Arch rival to the
Milwaukee Ironmongers.
Green.
The Green Bay Packers.
There we go. Jordan Love, the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay's a great town.
All right, we're going to take questions here. So if anybody has a question, go ahead and line up.
You, sir, what's your name, Eric?
America. Is this on?
I'm surprised you haven't had enough of us. We actually had lunch, 48 hours ago?
All right, I'm going to read another thing while you guys figure that out. Mark it down. When you guys talked about sex markers on passports, Justin said, I'm going to assume that America is the most progressive nation in the world on this particular subject. That was unfortunately a bad assumption. Here in Denmark, you've been able to have X as your sex marker on your passport since 2009.
So that answers my question. Yeah. If that's a thing we're universally doing in the world,
Well,
fine.
it's what the fucking Denmark people are doing.
Well, it just proves to me that like we're not the first. Like it's
No.
it is a thing, which I
No.
didn't know.
For the record, I was mostly referring to the conversation on neo-pronouns, which I would say that my American exceptionalism believes we are the best in the world at. And if ZZM thinks differently, then email the show. Random audience member Eric Brakey, please go ahead.
Hello. I think it's on now. Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
All right. So Eric Brakey, Maine Senator, Executive Director of the Free State Project. Got to put that plug in always.
Stop it. No, shameless. Shameless.
All right.
Boo him. Boo him. Other people boo him.
So
Thank you.
First of all, it's been interesting. I feel like I keep intersecting with you guys at the New Hampshire primary,
Yep.
at the LP convention, now at the GOP convention.
Yeah.
Are you my alternate? Is that what we're learning?
I'm glad you got into the arena.
Thank you for
Andrew.
that, by the way.
So first, I'm curious about the speculation about what might happen at a Democratic Open convention. First of all, I think it's very interesting that we just narrowly missed a timeline where we have 2 open conventions, both in the same year. But as far as candidates on the Democratic side, I mean, I think it's interesting, kind of the Kamala speculation. Obviously, she's got one advantage, which is she's the only one who can get all the money that's been raised for the Biden campaign. The Bernie Sanders idea is interesting. It feels like it's maybe a bit of it would be a Barry Goldwater scenario where they know they're going to lose, so he's trying to plan something for the future. But I'm curious, as far as kind of establishment candidates, I know, Andrew, you've mentioned Hillary Clinton, I think, is the most obvious, but I heard a particular theory the other day about someone else who isn't being mentioned, who actually polls pretty well, is also a former Democratic nominee, so has that name recognition and has that the donor access. And I'd be curious what you would think about it. What if we saw the comeback of Al Gore?
I fell asleep during the middle of you saying Al Gore. After you said Al, I slumped over. I think that Al Gore has been out of the game long enough that he would not have the ability to, like in the Three Musketeers, like they all get in the movie, they're all gone, and then they like blow the trumpet, and all these guys come out and they got their guns and stuff. I think Hillary Clinton can do that at a moment's notice. The Clinton machine is alive. I don't think the Gore machine has been operating. That lawnmower's been in the garage for about 20 years. So I don't think that he would have the same immediacy to him in terms of viability. And I don't, if there's anyone in the Democratic Party who might be less exciting than Hillary Clinton, I think it's probably Al Gore. Like, I would be more excited about Jimmy Carter than Al Gore.
In a bygone era, he would be somebody that would be like, if they got to 18 ballots, he might show up.
Yeah.
Hashtag I'm with Heaton.
Sir, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kyle, and I wanted to ask, at the convention, what was the mood like when the song Trump, Trump, Baby was played?
I wasn't
Horny.
there.
Anything else?
Yeah, I wasn't there. I didn't know that happened.
That was the Faragio Blow, I believe his name is, but there's a video with Amber Rose in it. We voting Trump, Trump, baby.
The song that I actually thought was like really interesting was they had It's a Man's World, which I'm sure has lots of connotations to it that Trump came on stage to, but it was the Pavarotti version.
He loves it.
Did you know that there was a Pavarotti version of It's a Man's World? I did not.
Look at this guy never going to Trump rallies. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hello.
Lucas here. First off, I want to say, Andrew, you are aware that Clinton was renominated in Chicago in '96, right? So it'd be pretty good for Hillary there.
Clinton was like she
Bill
Bill
got nominated.
yeah.
That was the convention with the Macarena. Have you ever seen that
Yeah.
that video? That was in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
A lot nicer than '68 or what's going to happen in a month.
So I noticed, especially this week after Biden's terrible NATO press conference, I know you don't really remember your time in Berlin, but Jen does, thankfully. But Deutsche Welle, which is a German-English news agency, actually they had the former German ambassador here in Milwaukee and member of German Parliament Spahn, who was a former health minister here, both kind of being somewhat Trump kind of translators towards
I'll be right back.
a German media. And I just wasn't sure if you guys ran into anyone foreign nationals here, or if you guys got any vibes as far as how foreign nationals are getting prepared for a possible Trump return.
There was decent media spread of people from outside the United States. Justin and I had made friends back in New Hampshire with a guy from Switzerland and a gal from France. I didn't run into them, but they were apparently here.
Justin, I did.
Oh, you did? Yeah,
Yeah.
You ran into them? My experience talking to them in New Hampshire was they were much less panicked than most Americans. They thought it was kind of like, if not funny, just interesting. But they were on the media side of things. So like my buddy Leo is a Scottish comedian friend of mine here a couple of years ago. We were comparing notes. This is like 5 years ago. We were comparing notes between Trump, who's then president, and Boris Johnson. And he's like, who's this Trump fellow? What do you think of him? And I was like, oh, he's very bad. He's very, very dangerous. He's like, well, I think he's quite funny. I think he's quite amusing. And then I was like, what about Boris Johnson? He's like, oh, no. He's very dangerous. And I was like, I think he's kind of funny. So apparently having a buffoon when it's in another country is different. In terms of the NATO, I would imagine the NATO would be very different. I would be very surprised if the same level of discourse in terms of thinking about America's involvement in Ukraine and Europe is got the same latitude of opinions in Europe based on my experience. I could be wrong about this, but in my experience, Europe's pretty much pro-NATO and also very much wants America to keep funding everything. So they're probably worried about Trump.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
We don't really get any insight into that in the convention because the only people that are there, I don't know if people know this, but like it's delegates and journalists. So,
That's it.
Yeah, so it's
Two races making peace.
I did talk to a Republican from Albania last night. You were hanging out with him. He was a cool guy.
I was, yeah.
I was like, where have you been from? And he's like, well, north of Tehran and Albania. And I'm like, oh, another one.
Yeah, but he's an American living overseas.
He's an
which is
American.
how
Yeah.
he
We
was
don't.
a
So
delegate.
far, we haven't given Albanians.
They're part of a group called Republicans Abroad.
Yeah.
And so they all communicate with each other, and then we're hanging out at the convention. Mm-hmm. It is a fascinating group of people.
Oh
Delegates.
yeah.
All right.
My name's Jeffrey.
Hi.
If Trump loses, is he the odds-on GOP nominee in 28?
Yes.
Yeah, based on what I saw, I think so. I don't think that we're getting rid of him until he gets 4 more years or dies.
I'm going to go one step beyond that. If you've ever seen Lenin's corpsicle before, the level of popularity that Donald Trump has with the Republican Party, it's entirely possible he will run after death and win the nomination, and that the vice president will become the new power center. And
Many people believe that death could limit them. I have transcended.
Trump will be frozen and in the Oval Office. Who knows? He seems keen.
I've defeated the icy hand of the great Grim Reaper. They call him the Grim Reaper. Not anymore.
Hello, I'm also Andrew, but you call me Andrew 2 or other Andrew.
Okay.
Or nothing at all. Politics is fun, but my favorite part of the show is when Jen and Andrew argue about the economy or economics in general.
Oh.
And Justin
You're
throws,
trying to ruin my gravy train.
And Justin throws gas on the fire. You didn't let me finish.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could maybe go back and forth for a little bit about the Friedman Doctrine or shareholder theory and how it could potentially be good or bad for employees.
The Friedman Doctrine?
Yeah, it's the idea that...
No, I'm not going to indulge this. Thank you.
We'll see you at the meetup afterwards, but thank you very much, Andrew.
Yeah, no, they'll actually fist fight. Just bring it up later at the bar, and they will actually fist fight.
She keeps
Thank you
brass
very much,
knuckles in her
Andrew.
purse, and it says Heaton on it. So.
Yeah.
We're still roommates for one more night, so let's not make this ugly.
Yeah, for the record, we're actually all living, we're actually doing the thing that you guys think we all do in your head. Like we woke up and Andrew and I were gathered around the dinner table watching the Biden interview with Lester Holt, and then Jen comes down scratching her head. Oh, what's going on, guys? It was the opening A block of a sitcom.
It is like a sitcom. Justin and Jen wear matching pajamas. I sleep in the nude, and I have not altered my perspective at all. I don't care what they say. It's my house, too. Also, on top of that, like, you know, we're roommates. If you forget to bring toothpaste, not weird to use the other person's toothpaste. Right room? Right room?
How dare you?
So, why is it weird for me to use Jen's toothbrush if I forgot my toothbrush? That's not weird. That's a window into the world we're living in. Fun heating and control freaks, Jen and Justin, who make me wear clothes before I do jumping jacks in the morning.
Poor Andrew, though, he did think that his female roommate would have hairspray and was incorrect. And so then he went to get hairspray and got it confiscated immediately by the Secret Service.
This was the fucking funniest thing that has ever happened. Like, this has been a trying week.
God.
We've had a lot of shit go on. I was not in a great mood. I laughed with the joy of a child. We left
Not only have I never seen Justin that happy, I've never made another human being that happy, including multiple women I've dated for over a year.
We leave lunch, and Heaton's like, oh, God damn it, I've gone to 3 different Walgreens, and I can't find
2 gas stations, a Walgreens, but that Walgreens was like, everything but hairspray. And yeah, this was the 4th place. We go to a Walgreens, I finally get hairspray, hobo my hair, and then walk 8 feet. The Secret Service goes, give us the hairspray. It was just...
He walks through security, and then like we get to the end, and we're trying to walk through because we got other shit to do. We have stuff to cover. I forget if I had shit to upload. And Heaton's like, they took my hairspray. And friends, I laughed like a wolf howls at the moon. Like, it was a guttural joy that I hope to all of you have one day.
Well, and
Fred.
then you set him up for an awkward encounter with Rudy Giuliani.
Oh yeah, tell that story.
Yeah, this is great. I'm gonna say this was a mutual strategy here that we were doing.
They thought this idea was brilliant.
It is brilliant, and he fucked up, in my opinion, just that one time. One of the things that I think is really interesting is to talk to big political figures about things that aren't political. So like 5 years ago, I went to Burning Man and I interviewed Grover Norquist in an RV at Burning Man, and my whole goal was just to talk to him as long as I could before getting into taxes. It was just about 45 minutes talking about Burning Man stand-up comedy. I think that's interesting. I've been trying to get Newt Gingrich for years to talk about zoos. Apparently, Newt Gingrich loves zoos. I have emailed Newt Gingrich. He's agreed to come on. I can't get through his staff. If anybody knows Woody, tell him I'm a good guy. And then we saw Rudy Giuliani like 19 times because I was like camping out on the Pillow Guy's couch in Media Hall, and that was across from the Young Turks, which was next to Rudy Giuliani. And I was like, what would I want to talk to Rudy Giuliani about something that's not political. Like, I want to get a soundbite that I think it'd be like a fun gift for my listeners to be like, by the way, here's somebody for you, and then it's Mayor Giuliani. And I talked to Justin, and I was like, "What? Like, you want to reenact this? What can I talk to Rudy Giuliani about?"
Rudy Giuliani loves cigars. He's a
really?
big cigar smoker,
Okay.
and so I think he would talk a lot about cigars. And then we ran into Rudy Giuliani's body man.
We ran into Ted, who we'd run into at a cigar shop in New Hampshire. We've actually met Ted before, and I'm explaining this to Ted, and I'm like, I'm not going to be a dick. I'm not making him to look bad. I think it would be fun for my audience to hear him talking about non-political. It would be humanizing for Rudy, and he's like, yeah, you know what? Like, it's pretty busy right now.
No, was like really on board.
Yeah.
To the point where Heaton's like, it would only be 5 minutes. Like, you wouldn't be able to keep him for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He will talk for longer than 5 minutes about cigars.
And I've been chasing Rudy Giuliani over the last 3 days, trying to get and I keep getting kindly blocked because they're doing stuff.
Who, by the way, at this point is Yoda. Like, he is just an old man who looks like he is being animatronically puppeted, like just hitting the Candy Crush button on his iPad. Like, it is a comical state for which this fabric of the American quilt now exists.
He has perfect dentures, but they're too big for him, so he kind of looks like the donkey from Shrek.
Yeah.
So last night, after the speech concluded, after the 7-hour speech, I just happened to pass Rudy Giuliani in a golf cart. He was just sitting there, like talking with security guards, and I took out my phone, so I recorded it, and I went, Mayor Giuliani, and he like turned to me, and I was like, can I get some cigar advice? And he goes, what? And I go, I heard you like cigars. Can I get cigar advice? And he goes, No, I'm not going to give you cigar advice. Of course not. I was like, fair play, Rudy Giuliani, fair play. And like, that was it. That was my moment with Rudy. So
there we go.
We will never know. We will never know.
Your moment with Rudy.
Yeah.
Sir, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Benji. Sounds like we agree that as things stand, Trump's likely to win, and he's enjoyed a lot of electorally advantageous events over the last while. So what I'm curious is what you think the marginal event was that made that more probable than not. And
what was the tipping point?
Yeah, and I asked because I think it was when the Libertarian Party nominated Chase Oliver and made it so that they would only siphon votes off from the Democrats.
Sir, are you a libertarian?
I am.
Nailed it. I'll let you guys go and then I can go.
I wish the Libertarian Party had that much clout. I do not think that I do not think that Donald Trump went back to hang out with Melania and went, "We got it. Chase Oliver's going to be the nominee. This is going to be the thing that puts it over the top." I don't think it was the Libertarian Party that did it. Prior to, let's say a month ago, I would have put the odds at like 52 Trump, 48 Biden. So like toss up, but still leaning Trump overall. The thing that for me went, oh, this is absolutely done, is when Joe Biden came out and imploded on national television for 90 minutes, and everyone in America realized they'd been getting gaslit for the last 6. That was, to me, where it went, oh, this is it. And then after that, I guess the next thing that would occur to me is when President Trump avoided an assassination attempt and what appears to the faithful to be an act of God, and to everybody else to be at least an Iwo Jima iconographic moment that will become a source of it. So I think those two things to me are the tipping points.
Jen?
I mean, the first invitations to this MAGA party went out in 2015. And so this has just been building and building and building. I think he was the nominee before Inauguration Day for Joe Biden. Like, that's when this was done. And then when the Democrats decided to, Joe Biden stayed in the race, I think that his popularity was already built in. Like, the fact that he's beating Biden, I think, is more a comment on the Democrats and Biden than it is on Trump. His support has been rock solid for a long time.
I would agree with you. I do think that there's a lot that's happened over the last few months that has been competent on the Trump side. I do think that the possibility of him going to jail by reporting seemingly has clarified some of his thoughts on how much he wants to freelance and how much he wants to listen to political professionals that are trying to tell him how to win an election, because he's done a lot of damage to himself electorally in the past. But I think that there are two things that have made this race what it is. The first is that Donald Trump came down that golden escalator and said, in a way that was thought to be electoral poison since Pat Buchanan in 1992, that the border is the number one problem in the country. That was thought to be the most racist possible thing that you could say. It was demonizing of people. That was the first time that we ever saw what we now know as just the state of politics, and what Republicans or conservatives would call Trump derangement syndrome, was the idea that, killers and rapists are coming across the border, blah, 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 blah. Turns out right now by polling, that's now a position that is far more popular than it was in 2016. It is now a majority popular thing. There is a majority popular opinion for deportations. That's something that we have not seen in any of our lifetimes. If that's the case, then the man who has been stamping his feet and saying the border's a problem for a long time is going to be rewarded for it. And so he's being rewarded for the fact that an issue he put his stamp on is now very much front of mind for Americans. Joe Biden caused that. He canceled Remain in Mexico. He made a lot of this the problem that it is right now. So I do think that was a unforced error by the Biden administration that has made Trump more popular.
Well, and when they say that the numbers of people coming in is the highest it's ever been, that's actually not a lie. We looked it up. The numbers are off the charts.
Yeah.
So the situation really has gotten worse. So the fact that that's true.
Yes.
There's
a big Trump is right. That being said, if the Biden administration was competent, this should be, based on the economy, a very close election where the baseline is Biden +2. Democrats have an electoral college advantage because of Illinois and California, and so they should run ahead of Republicans just based on populations in states with higher Democratic voters. The fact that he is running now, according to Nate Silver's model, 3 points behind is like, that's why you're seeing Democrats shit themselves trying to get him the fuck out of there, because that is absolutely electorally damaging. And part of it is also because of the economy. This is not a bad economy. Joe Biden is not wrong to say that many other nations would willfully change their economies with ours in a heartbeat, especially including inflation. The problem of why it's bad for him to say that is that Americans don't give a shit about what anybody else in the world thinks. We're America. If we're mad, then you should be talking to us about why we're mad. And if Joe Biden were still here, he would have taken a page out of Bill Clinton's book, and instead of jumping up and down and screaming that we have the best economy on earth, he would have said, I feel your pain. We have a long way back from a very, very big, globally disruptive event that everybody understands. It's bad now. It will get better, and he should be celebrating every time that it ticks slightly down to say, congratulations, we did it. It's less bad now than it was before. Instead, he came out and said, jobs, stock market, everything's amazing, right? And everybody who's paying $7 for a bowl of cornflakes was like, fuck you, old man. It's political malpractice, and he and his team have been an absolute disaster.
And the recovery from COVID thing, it's not really an excuse. I remember when the pandemic first started, I wanted to look back at past pandemics just to see, like, what should I expect here? What happens? How long does it take to recover? And the thing that has stuck with me since 2020 is I read that in the past, there's a 4-year cycle in a pandemic. So the first year is very much like focus on the medical, right? So we remember what 2020 was like. We were just trying to figure out what to do with this damn virus. And then it becomes more of an economic issue. And what I read from the past is it takes about 4 years. It's 2024. And now things are feeling close to normal, but we're still dealing with the inflation, but like we're almost at the end of that historical cycle. If Joe Biden had come out and educated, or the Democrats had come out and educated and be like, listen, we're in the post-pandemic cycle. History tells us what this is going to feel like, this economic stuff. Yep, it's hard, it's weird, we're figuring it out, it's gonna take a minute.
We're gonna do little things to make it better. We're gonna do little things that, like, a kickback, a rebate, some kind of thing.
And if they pointed out, this is happening globally. So yes, this sucks when you go to the grocery store. It sucks when Europeans go to the grocery store. It sucks when Mexicans go to the grocery store. Yes, but comparing it is useful. Because people are going to the grocery store and thinking this is just happening here. It's not true. But instead, they chose this rosy picture, dishonesty really. And that's a shame, because we are in this cycle, and I do think it's kind of unfair to blame the Biden administration for something that was going to happen. We were never going to come out of a pandemic where the world got shut down and have it be exactly clean.
But this was never going to make sense logically, because the Democrats ran and Joe Biden ran against Donald Trump on the idea that he was mishandling the pandemic.
He was.
And, well, here's the problem, though, is that now the things that they were yelling at Donald Trump to not do are the reason why the economy is in the good position that it is now. If they would have locked down longer, like some countries in Europe did, then inflation and this cycle would have started later, and that's why we are in a good position, is because we did open up and we did get the economy going
let her rip.
Right? And so it's like, now you can't go back and say, well, he mishandled it. Why? It's like, well, he opened it up. Yeah, but the economy's better now. It's like, yeah, and they needed to make it a non-political issue, and either side really could. And instead of saying, hey, that was fucked up, everybody, we all have little things that we could have done better, but right now, let's focus on the now. Let's not focus on the past. They couldn't do it. And the Biden people are bad and dumb. I honestly believe this is the worst run political campaign of my lifetime, and I don't think it's close. I don't think that there's anything. You can't pick one mistake in politics that is as bad as demanding an early debate that goes so poorly. The conversation in the next 48 hours is, we need a 25th Amendment this fucker. Like, that is so bad. And they know what they were dealing with. They willfully put that torpedo in the tube only for it to explode in their submarine. Like, that is the worst decision. And then they sold T-shirts, and I bought 2. They sold free on Wednesday T-shirts because at that point they were making fun of the fact that Donald Trump was on trial and his only days that he had free was Wednesdays, not realizing that the election is on Tuesday. So immediately it's going to be a fucking taunt when you, the sitting president, is free on Wednesday when you lose an election on Tuesday. Like, this is interstellar level quantum physics of dumb. Sir.
Hey guys, my name is Matt. Thanks for coming to Milwaukee. Really appreciate you having here and answering all of our questions, especially going this late.
Go Brewers.
Go Brewers. Go Crew. Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite team. Hoo-ah.
I really like your show because it handles conflict amongst friends, and it helps me just work with my own friends and family too. Can you speak a little bit to kind of how this show has changed your relationship, and has that all gone out the window after living together for a week?
I mean, I've loved living with the boys. And what's interesting about our friendship, what you're witnessing, is you've really heard our friendships blossom on the air. Because I met these guys on the air. I was a guest on their show the first day I met. Well, both of them separately. So first I was on Justin's show, then I was on Andrew's, and then Andrew and I were guests on Justin's. And so you've really heard how we've formed the friendship, and now it's been over 2 years of us talking every single week, and now I consider these two some of my dearest friends. And
I like Jen. I love you. I love you, Jen. I'm sorry. I love you. I had to take it. I love you.
I know you do. But see, isn't that great that, like, this is the kind of friendship we have? We can make those jokes. We don't get insulted about stuff. I don't get insulted when we get heated about economics because we know that the love and respect is there. And it's been a real joy to not only have, because, like, I can do this in my life. I actually have a lot of friends that I disagree with. And I've mentioned, my MAGA family. I have quite a few of them. And I can have conversations with all of them. I have thrown out exactly 0 people from my life because of politics, so I'm good at this. But I'm really proud that the 3 of us have been able to exhibit how to do it. And it's been a true, this show has been a real blessing in my career, because doing Congressional Dish alone has been a very lonely thing. So getting to talk to the boys, and we haven't been in a real fight after working together for years now. So I love my boys.
I think there's maintenance to it. I will say that.
Yeah. And he's good at being the janitor.
He's provocative on camera, and reconciliatory off camera.
I am a weaponized child of divorce. Like, I am like a CIA level child of divorce. Like, I can smell problems like from miles away and know exactly how to fix the one thing I couldn't fix when I was 8. I think that the beautiful thing about this show is that it's the America that I want, in that we should be hot-blooded, we should scream at each other, we should yell at each other, and then we should say, anyway, I'll see you next day. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Please. A couple of things. So I've mentioned this before. One of the funny things is you hear 98% of the political conversation that we have. When we're hanging out in our commune, here in Milwaukee, we're really not, like, maybe more so this week because we're at the convention, but normally we're not as political, I'd say, in our off-camera conversation. We're talking about volleyball and whatever Heaton's up to and the dog and all that stuff. But in terms of the on-camera stuff, I think what it's been very helpful for me is 2016 was fairly emotionally traumatic for me in terms of the professional circles and social circles that I was swimming in New York City, where prior to Trump getting the nomination, I had been the fun, crazy guy that could hang out with you based on his politics. Once Trump got it, there were a lot of people that went, if you're not whatever I am, you're the enemy. And so I became very adroit at being able to avoid politics in my personal life. And I became like Vaseline-coated ninja level slick of being able to detect when you're wanting to discuss politics and kind of sidestep it. And that's a good skill to have. But what has come to the front very healthfully in our show is being able to have positive confrontation, I think, where rather than having to avoid what we're talking about, we're able to talk to it head on and have a productive conversation, and the maintenance too. Afterwards, there've a couple of times been we've had some friction we needed to talk about, but being able to discuss like, hey, this is the problem that I had, this is how I felt, and having the other person love and respect that, work through it. So I think it's been very, very helpful in that regard.
The one thing I would say to take away from it is the real problem isn't what's said. The real problem is how you process it in your head afterward. And what usually happens is what we do is start assigning narratives to the words. And I will tell you, 99% of the time, if you actually have respect for somebody, it's not true. It is your own self-doubt. It is your own problems that you are grafting onto something where you are actively poisoning yourself in your own relationships because you haven't worked through something. And usually the power of friendship, not to be all Care Bears here, but like the power of friendship is that when you hear somebody that you know and love and respect say, no, of course I don't believe that, it kind of breaks that cycle in your head. Talk to people that love you. Talk to people that you love. Tell them that you love them. And please believe them when they say that they love you.
Yeah. And I do have to say that the ability to say I'm sorry when I'm a bitch. You know, I really appreciate that, like, we've had these conversations where it's like, I don't like the way that you said that to me. And I'm able to go like, yeah, sorry, didn't realize that I was shitty. And getting to say I'm sorry, like, it's been nice to know that these guys are not harboring resentments towards anything because we're gonna talk about it. And I think a lot of times we don't tell the other person like, hey, you hurt me. But being the person that has been told that, like not just on the show, but like in life, I always appreciate that because then I get the chance to say I'm sorry. Because 99% of the time, I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. Like, you know, it's... the open communication has been really key, and
I'll add to that, perhaps in your lives, something that's worth being said is like the reason that I get so animated when Jen and I argue is because I respect Jen and her intellect, so it drives me batshit when she disagrees with me. If I didn't respect Jen, I wouldn't give a fuck. But as it is, I really do, so it drives me crazy, right? But it's because I have respect for her intelligence. The fact that we can't see eye to eye causes me that friction. I think in a lot of people's lives when you're arguing, as we get closer to the election, you're arguing with your dad, you're arguing with your cousin. Mention like the reason that I'm so passionate about this is because I respect your opinion. That's where this is coming from.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will take all these questions in the Patreon, but for our regular episode, for Andrew Heaton and Jim Briney, I'm Justin Robert Young, and from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we're not wrong.